Right then guys, how's it going, and welcome back to a new series of your football predictions. This is a series I have been running for a good few years now. Basically every week I go up against you guys to see who can get the most correct scores from the weekend's games. I think the last prediction video I did would have been for the Champions League final, presumably. So it has been a while. I'm really looking forward to getting into today's video. As always, I pick 4 of the weekend's games. I have been asked in the past, why don't you do all of the games? To be honest, with it being the first weekend back, I was tempted to do all of the games, but I can honestly talk forever normally, and if I did every single game, the video would probably be about an hour long. So I have picked 4 games. If your team is not featured in this week, I do apologise. Hopefully I'll get them next week. But yeah, as always, if you want to get involved, get down below in the comments and let me know your predictions for this weekend's upcoming games. But as always, as I've said, I've picked 4 of them and I'll go through them now. So the first game, I've got to pick the first game of the brand new Premier League season. It is this Friday at 8 o'clock at night, and it is Liverpool taking on Norwich. I normally post these prediction videos on a Thursday ready for the Saturday game, but obviously with the first game being on Friday night, we're here a day early on the Wednesday. So, Liverpool, what can I say about them? Champions League winners. Obviously just missed out on the Premier League last season. No doubt they will want to be Premier League winners this season, and they're going to want to get off to a good start by beating Norwich on Friday. I haven't kept 100% up to date with their pre-season. I've heard it hasn't been fantastic, and I did see, as many of you will have, their loss against Man City in the Charity Shield. Don't get me wrong, I actually thought Liverpool played pretty well in that Charity Shield game, but you know, someone was going to have to win it, and against Man City it's not going to be easy. Charity Shield, everyone wants to win it, but at the same time, I'm not going to call it a friendly. It's not a friendly, it is still a trophy, but we are cracking on with the Premier League season now. Mane potentially still injured. It's looking like he may miss the game against Norwich, but we know Liverpool have got plenty of firepower in the ranks. Even the fullbacks are as attacking as some players in the Liverpool team. So yeah, they're at home. All eyes on them. It's Friday night. They're going to want to get a win. As for Norwich, championship winners up to the Premier League this season. I mean, you can't ask for a much tougher start, really, than being involved in the first Premier League game of the season. As I said, on telly. I mean, I'm out on Friday to watch it. I'm sure a lot of people will be taking on, you know, champions of Europe, Champions League winners, Liverpool. It's going to be a tough ask. Having said that, they have brought a few players in to bolster their team this season, including a new goalkeeper, Farman. I recognise him off FIFA. He's a decent keeper. And I mean, they're going to be buzzing, you know. The promotion factor, if you will, it definitely exists. You know, Premier League championship teams coming up to the Premier League, if they can hit a good run like early on, it can make a big difference to the season. Obviously, the first game against Liverpool may stop them in their tracks, but they're definitely going to be going for it. You know, Norwich are going to be very, very hungry for this game, and I would not write them off before it's even started. Fun fact about this one, the last time Liverpool played Norwich in the first game of the season and won, they went on to win the Premier League. That was back in 1976, so it was quite a long time ago. But you know, if they win against Norwich on Friday, who knows what could happen this season. In terms of prediction, as I say, I do not think you can write Norwich off. I mean, an upset or an underdog win would be very exciting. But as I say, Liverpool have so much quality going forward, even without Mane. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. As I say, let me know what you think down below. Next up, I've gone for the 5:30 game on the Saturday, so I have missed a few games out there, and it is Spurs versus Aston Villa. This one is on TV. Again, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching it. As for Spurs, obviously, runners-up in the Champions League final. I mean, there's no denying it was a fantastic run to get there. The final itself wasn't overly exciting. I think we will all agree on that. And obviously Spurs will be gutted to have not just pipped at the post by Liverpool. Spurs came 4th in the league last year. No doubt they will want to equal that, if not hopefully better it this season. Spurs have been doing very well in the last few seasons. I know they haven't won a trophy, but we've seen the progression. They are at a Champions League final. They will want to be jumping into the spaces where Liverpool and Man City are currently sitting. And what better way than a win against Aston Villa this weekend? They're hoping, I'm sure. Transfer window, a bit of up and down for Spurs. I mean, Trippier's gone. I do think he will be a miss. The Eriksen dilemma, he was linked with Man U. I believe now he's linked with more of a European team, potentially Italy, maybe. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen there. I think what is most likely to happen is, I believe, even though our window shuts tomorrow at 5 o'clock, the foreign leagues does actually stay open a little bit longer. I think it's likely he might actually move on in a week or two rather than today or tomorrow. They have brought in a new signing, Dombele, I think it's pronounced. I haven't seen loads of this guy, but I do know they have paid a fair wedge for him. I'm not sure how he's done in pre-season so far, but I'm sure Spurs are going to be hoping he will make a big difference and can push them forward. And again, Spurs were also linked with Felipe Coutinho, who is looking to get out of Barcelona. A loan bid, I believe, was offered. I think it was declined, but it shows that Spurs are still active. So who knows what could happen before tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Heading to the new Spurs stadium are newly promoted Aston Villa. Came up through the playoffs, and one of the main reasons I've included this game is I do think Aston Villa have been very heavily watched by a lot of football fans over the summer. As after getting promoted through the playoffs, I mean, that's the most exciting way to go up into the Premier League. They have gone out and spent a fair bit of money. I'm not 100% sure on what the figure is right now, but I don't think it could be too far from 100 million or so. They have really splashed the cash and showed some real intent of what they want to do now that they are in the Premier League. It could obviously go one way or the other. It could be what Wolves did. They brought in a fair few players and ended up in 7th place. You can look at Fulham, who spent a lot of money and then went straight back down. To guess whether it's one of them two is pretty much impossible until the season starts up, but that's why it does make it very exciting to see what happens. And yeah, can they go to Spurs and get a win first game of the season? Again, I mentioned it. I honestly think that promoted teams, if they can hit the right note early on, it can really push them on in the first few games of the season, and they're going to be chomping at the bit to try and get a win on the board. Villa have won once over the last 17 games against Spurs. It's not a fantastic stat, but maybe they can make it 2. Again, similar to the Norwich Liverpool game, I would not write Villa off before the start of this game, because if they can come straight out of the blocks, potentially get an early goal, you really don't know what could happen. However, similar to the Liverpool game, I think Spurs do have a lot of quality, and on paper, and start of the season, there are a lot of results that are tough to predict, because teams can be slow out the box. If Spurs come out slowly, Villa come out fighting, who knows? I'm going to edge it to Spurs 2-1. But I'm just hoping for a good game on the TV. Next up, moving on to the Sunday at 2 o'clock, we have my team, Newcastle United taking on Arsenal. So, Newcastle United, a summer of ups and downs. There has been signings, which is more than I expected. Has it been as much as we needed going into this new season? No. There's certainly areas of the team that I definitely think needed to be improved. Having said that, a new striker, Joe Linton, new winger, Maximin, along with Almiron as a front three, could potentially work very well for us this season. On the other hand, 6 months Premier League experience between all three of them is very, very risky. We know Newcastle's defence is our best part of the team, if you will. Very solid defensively, or at least we were under Rafa Benitez. I can only hope we will be the same under Steve Bruce. But yeah, we have been almost touted as being one of the favourites to go down this season. We need to hope that the strikers do us well this season. Starting off against Arsenal. As for Arsenal, they came 5th last season. They needed to win the Europa League for a shout at Champions League football. Unfortunately, they didn't. They lost against Chelsea. But you can see the intent that they have had over this summer going into the new season to make sure they are in the best possible chance, giving themselves the best opportunity to get that top 4 or above. They went out and spent 70 million on Pepe, who I have no doubt will be a handful for Newcastle at the weekend, alongside Aubameyang. Lacazette is still potentially injured for the weekend, so we'll have to see what happens there. I think it could be a really good game. And again, I know I'm repeating myself over and over, but first game of the season, maybe I'm being too optimistic as a Newcastle fan, but you don't know who's going to come out of the blocks quicker. There's players still need time to gel. I mean, as I say, Newcastle's front three, who knows what's going to happen? I'm absolutely praying that they just knit together and it all just works and it's perfect from the start, because if it's not, a tough season could be even tougher if our front three aren't working together. Having said that, our defence is good. If we can keep Arsenal out and we get a counter, their defence isn't fantastic either. I thought they would have spent a lot more money in their defensive areas than they did this summer. But anyway, the last time the two clubs played at St James's Park, Newcastle won. I'm praying that might happen again. And I know I don't want to be biased because I'm a Newcastle fan, but it's the first game of the season, so I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm going to go 1-1. Fingers crossed. We can have it. You know what it is? I'm just excited for the football, but yeah, 1-1. And to finish things off again on the Sunday, but at 4:30, we have got Manchester United taking on Chelsea. Two teams who have both had very different transfer windows. Manchester United have gone out and spent big. They've actually brought in fewer players than I actually thought they would have this summer, but I do think they have made some good buys. James, young lad, tricky winger, looks certainly one for the future. And then defensively, they had to improve. And don't get me wrong, they have spent an absolute fortune on Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, but in my eyes they are both very good players, and there's no denying they will improve the Manchester United defence and team and squad. Moving further forward up the pitch, it seemed that United were quite keen to get rid of Lukaku this summer. Potentially bring in another striker. That hasn't really materialised. Now we're at the point where I think Lukaku's gone AWOL somewhere because he wants to move on, but obviously Manchester United aren't going to let him go unless they have a replacement. So Yeah, defensively they have certainly brought in some reinforcements further up the pitch, maybe not. As for Chelsea, as I mentioned, they've had a very different transfer window. First of all, actually they brought in their new manager, Frank Lampard, as a complete neutral. It's actually quite exciting for me to see Lampard at Chelsea. I am definitely pro bringing in young, talented coaches, managers who can take teams forward rather than just jumping back on that spinning wheel of managers that are just there at the time. I know Lampard hasn't really got the most experience, but I think that's also probably why it's interesting for me as a neutral, because if it technically doesn't work out, it wasn't my team. But as a neutral, I'm still very excited to see what he does at Chelsea this season. And again, it's also been very different for them this summer because of the transfer ban. I believe they've signed Kovacic despite being under a transfer ban. So I don't know how they've got away with that one. But in general, Chelsea are now going to start making use of all of those players who have been loaned off year after year. Tammy Abraham has been given number 9 for Chelsea this season. I've seen that Batshuayi has got a couple of goals in pre-season. And I think, you know what it is, like, if Chelsea were to do well this season by using all of those up-and-coming players rather than just buying the new best thing, I think that would be a really good thing for the Premier League and for other teams to take notice, and especially if Lampard does well as well. Okay, so yeah, I am quite excited to see what Chelsea have got to do this season, I'll be honest. So as for this game, putting a prediction down, obviously it's at Old Trafford, so Man U have got the home advantage. Again, it's another game on TV. Yeah, every game I've picked is on TV this week, so you can watch them all after you've put your predictions in. In terms of a prediction, you know, I've just bigged Chelsea up quite a bit there. I'm actually going to throw down a 3-2 Chelsea. I want to see loads of goals. I just think Man U, the new defensive players, maybe have got a bit of time to work together, kind of knit things together. Attacking wise, I'm presuming, will it be Lukaku, will it be Rashford? I'm not 100% sure. Chelsea, you know, they haven't really had the transfer window to bring new players in. Oh, they need to get used to him and he needs to get used to him. And a lot of these players have been at the club for a very long time. Fair enough, some of them have been on loan, but a lot of them will know each other already. They will have had the entire summer working together as a team. Without, oh, hang on, he's new, so we need to now integrate him into the team. Like, they have had like the purest of pre-seasons. Will that work out in this game? Who knows? But that is what I am going to go for. And that's it, guys. So as always, get your predictions down in the comments below. Those are my predictions up there. As always, will go through all of your predictions before the first game kicks off, which is on Friday at 8 o'clock. So maybe 7:45. Probably before I leave the house to go and watch the game will be when I do it, so maybe closer to 7:30. I'll make a note of everyone's predictions and I will shout out the winner in next week's prediction video, ready for next week's weekend of football. Alright, I look forward to seeing what you guys think is going to happen this weekend. Make sure to drop a like if you are happy to see this season return and this series return, and make sure to subscribe if you aren't already. Alright, thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope whatever team you support wins, and I'll catch you later.